episode. Fractional C-suite. What's up, ladies?
Hey, Casey.
Hello.
Hey, Hannah.
How are y'all?
Doing
Doing good today.
So excited about this. This is popping the cherry on a whole lot of things right now.
Oh yeah.
I love the analogy, Casey. Yeah, this is good. I'm excited to for us as new co-founders coming together, talking about Blaze, talking about what we're excited about, where we're headed, and really just getting to know one another today.
Yeah.
Likewise. I gotta say, like, I'm just so excited. I'm so excited that we're starting this co-founder journey together. Like, there is something really deep and special about safety, among like Black women, and like just knowing that somebody got your back. Like, man, like knowing that you know that someone won't let you fall, and experiencing that inside of business so intimately, which is how I feel about both of y'all. Like, I'm just so excited about this journey and what we do with this baby, called Blaze. And I literally don't even need a blueprint. I just know because y'all are dope, and because there's so much love, and passion around this work. It's just going to be beyond incredible. So cheers.
So Casey, when you were talking about that, I literally took some time this morning to journal, like what I'm afraid of, like just really getting honest with myself about like things that I'm afraid of. Yeah. And I wrote down yesterday that I was afraid of, let me pull it out so that I was afraid of losing myself in ambition. But this morning I was like, no, I need to clarify that a bit more. And I'm afraid of overworking myself to death. And that's so real for me, because I have, reached levels of burnout, even boredom, but it affects my body in ways that I never even imagined. And, you and I, since we were roommates our freshman year at Carolina, like we and Hannah went to the same school that we did at University of South Carolina too. Like, we know the culture of like just getting it done, of, giving it your all to the point where you literally have nothing else. And I don't want that. So this is why I love Blaze. And it was a no-brainer to say yes to being invited as a co-founder, because for me, I know that that's not a fear that will be a rational fear within Blaze, because of the way that you have built this community and this organization to go beyond just the work that we do, the output that we generate. So that's my piece. I love that. But as you're opening up, like, that made me think about me having that time this morning.
That's real, man. Like, it makes me think about, a fear that I talked to my dad about at the top of the year when I was in Toya. You and I talked really heavily about this because I had, and now that it's gone, but I know it's not necessary right now. Like, I had all of these plans to do these monstrous things. I mean, just out of this world, man. Because I know that we could, and I knew at the top of the year, much like you're saying, so because my body was reacting to stress, right? Like, literally raw skin, like rashes all over my body, and having manic attacks. Like, I've been depressed, I've had anxiety, but like literally being in manic states, it really scared me enough to want to, I said it to my daddy, like, not empty the clip, like, and that scared me, like I had to articulate this to my dad, like, literally being in rooms and not emptying the clip, and people not even knowing what I'm capable of, like, being okay with that, being okay with them not knowing how cold I could be, was scary for me, and nothing about that is healthy, right? Like is drenched in white supremacy and just thinking that your productivity is a measure of your, all of these things, a measure of your worth, right? But my dad even had to say to me, like, he laughed and he said, it's funny because I believe you. He said, but yeah, we can work with white men who go on yachts, in the afternoon and golf in the, and it's just like, and that they literally don't even think about that. They don't think about it that way. Like needing to empty the clip. Like they don't even care if we think they're smart or not. Like it doesn't matter. And he said, imagine moving through life where you're not even trying to prove to people that you're smart. Like you just know that you exist. And you can do what makes you happy. He said, imagine, like, he said, I can't even fathom what that feels like in this body. And I'm like, you're right. So I feel it.
Yeah, 100%. I can't, the reality is that I can't imagine that. And homing in on that fear aspect, I think fear mixed with anxiety at times. So Toya, you talked about journaling. I journal as well. And then I just added on a therapist to that. So we're getting grounded and growing in all the areas, building our toolbox. And I just really had to realize, like, to your point, Casey, I tend, and I have habitually tended to just overthink every move I make, every word I say, every interaction I have in an unhealthy manner. And really just had to home in on, why is that? What am I afraid of? What am I afraid of happening? Saying the wrong thing, failing, messing up, misspeaking on some occasions, and realizing that I'm human. Everyone's human. It's okay if that happens, but always having good intentions and knowing that where my passions and where my interest lies is going to carry me in this work that we're doing at Blaze Forward. And that although we're targeting Black women entrepreneurs, every industry that the world has seen is in dire need of the work that we're doing of uplifting Black women. I mean, it's showing even right now. I don't know if you all heard or been in tune with the WNBA and how a lot of these players are being waived, and like there's not enough investments to uphold all of these players within the professional league at this point. And really just a lot of controversy and conversations and debates around how to uphold a business model that values and sees these oftentimes Black women as worthy of being in these spaces, of being and pursuing their love of, in this case, basketball. And now that NIL deals are being produced and disseminated at a college level and even younger, now having that option to be able to say, hey, I'm going to continue in college and continue to, at some points, there are some players that are getting paid more in college than they would be in the league. And so then causing some pressure in the sense of how is the league going to pivot, to change in order to value all of its players, specifically in the WNBA, but oftentimes those are predominantly Black women. So say all that to say every industry is in need of the work that we're doing, and I'm so excited to be targeting Black women entrepreneurs specifically, but that touches all industries in and of itself. So yeah, I'm grateful.
Yeah, I don't follow basketball at all, but my mom and dad told me about, I'm gonna say this wrong, but I imagine this was in the Sweet 16, and one of the star players, maybe in the finals, right? White girl, she did this gesture like, you can't see me, right? And that was fine. I was like, oh, she's a beast, she's in it, right? And then when the team that actually won, right, the star player on that team, Black woman, she did the same exact gesture, and there was all of this backlash, like she's ghetto, she's aggressive, like that was nasty, she needs to apologize, etc., etc. And I don't know, like I'm not surprised, but I just still could not believe that still today such blatant like bias and prejudice and right, like why are we still explaining our, like why do we even have to say, oh, she did it yesterday, like
right.
Shouldn't it be okay,
double standards on all platforms, and even Angel Reese, the player that you're speaking of now, has so many, one of the top players, I believe, with NIL deals right now in college, and really she just got announced to be on the USA basketball team as well. And I think she made a tweet about all of the hardships and barriers that she had to overcome in the past 5 or so years in order to really bask in this accomplishment. And it's still to that point when she and her team won the national championship. A lot of people tend to home in on that as something to, discredit the amazing accomplishment that team accomplished together. So yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
I think what Angel Reese showed me, because I didn't watch the final after USC got out. I stopped watching, I'm not gonna lie. But when I did see the news surfacing about that particular gesture, I saw that before I even saw the winner. That's how much attention was placed onto that moment. But what I really took from, or what I still do to this day, take from Angel Reese and just the way that she takes up space in this world, is that, just like you said, she's got all these deals, but from the very start, she has consistently been herself unapologetically. And even when it came with the backlash from the media, even when it came with, the intimidation from other players, who maybe thought that she was just playing, this is who she really is. She talks about that she's from Baltimore. She talks about where she comes from and maintaining, who she is throughout all of this stuff. And I really love that for her. And I love that for Black women, especially here with Blaze, and how we are able to reach a global demographic of Black women entrepreneurs, to say, you don't have to do it like you think you have to. Trust and know that who you are is enough. How you speak is enough. How you take up space in the world is enough. And in many cases, that's really where the magnetism comes in. That's really where the value is, because people see that you're genuine, that you're true, that you're you. I mean, I think it's gonna be important, especially with the rise of, technology, and a lot of things that we are going to see are not actually what they are. So knowing that there are people who are very authentic and have a lot of integrity with who they are, that is going to be, to me, I think that's something that's going to be really valued going forward for business owners, for entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And to that point, I know, Casey, you tell me this all the time, that it takes a while to learn how to sound like yourself. So whether, I feel like we know it because we've experienced it, of having that entrepreneur drive since we were babies. I mean, if it's a lemonade stand, if it's selling, art, if it's doing hair, doing nails, all the way to, motherhood, and seeing what your kid needs that maybe it's not provided in other cases. I'm always inspired by one entrepreneur that we were able to, meet with initially, and how, she's in her later 50s, and just starting a business this year, concerning the arts and film and media. So it's never too late. And I feel like oftentimes us going down these tracks, especially in business, we're routed oftentimes to these big institutions and big organizations, which, they're very well tracks, but it's not the only track. We can bet on ourselves. We can choose to go down a path that prioritizes us, our needs, and others that look like us, in order to provide services and products that will lend well to our community. And that takes a while. So whether you figure it out at 18, 19, or if you figure it out at 65, it's never too late. And always embracing that journey whenever it happens, I think, is a beautiful thing. And it's a beautiful thing that we are already being able to see as we are developing and continuing to grow the impact of Blaze. But I think that's something that I'm looking forward to the most when it comes to what we're building here with Blaze, and specifically with the Fractional C-Suite service that we're starting to provide.
I agree, Hannah. I'm so excited, one, that we can affirm Black women and say, listen, sis, promise you already got it. Entrepreneurship is already in you. You've already made do, right? But then coupling that with exposing them to things that they literally would not have known about, right? for years to come had it not been for Blaze, right? Like literally today, y'all, I was talking to Jahil Oliver, CEO of Hello Tractor, one of our clients, and I was telling him, so I'm always like just bragging about Blaze and like what we're doing. And, you know, on this side, I was like, yo, bringing in 2 co-founders. And he's like, who are they? Right. So I'm bragging on, you know, Hannah and Toya, telling them how dope they are and how we're doing this, you know, this fractional C-suite servicing to Black women because we want to actually phase out of, you know, love them, great, but even when we're talking about helping minorities, it's usually the Black man that's made it to the point of having venture capital and being able to invest in consulting and stuff, right? And I said to him, you know, that this is really going to disrupt an industry because Black women literally don't even have exposure to C-suite, like most, just period. Like only 3% of Black women-owned businesses have a C-suite, like only 3%. Like that is actually wild when you think about how critical it is, right? And I was, and Jahil, he was so confused, and it's so amazing to see how confounded he was by that because he already knew the game, right? Like he was like, wait, what do you mean? Like they don't have a C-suite? And I said, Jahil, like for Black women, the first hires we make are typically a VA. And he's like, what's a VA? And I'm like, a virtual assistant. He was like, I promise, like he was like, what? He was like, what do you mean a virtual assistant? He was like, that's literally the opposite of us. Like we've been around for almost 10 years and we've still not hired a virtual assistant, right? And as he's talking, I remember, and because I'm so guilty in this vein. I had a mentor who literally told me, y'all. She told me this last year actually, when I was hiring an executive assistant, and she said, Casey, you don't need to hire an executive assistant right now. And I'm thinking she's sunning me, if I be very real. I got a whole relationship to me, y'all, because I could be something else. I'm stubborn. But she's like, you don't need to hire an executive. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, we're going to exceed 200K this year and next year. You know, she's like, Casey, you need builders. She literally told me that. She's like, you don't do, like, a startup like yours where the growth trajectory, etc. You need somebody who knows how to make money. Like, you need somebody who knows sales or at least marketing. She's like, you need somebody building beside you. You can't waste resources on somebody who's waiting for you to give them a task. Did I listen? No, absolutely not. Am I feeling the pain of that on the other side of it? Absolutely. Literally don't have the executive assistant anymore. God bless her, right? Because it wasn't even her fault, right? I just did not understand what I understand today, right? Like, and so to see how confounded Jahil was, because he literally knows the game. Even the best among us don't even know that, right? Like the best among us don't know the order of operations, right? And so it actually made me excited to see his response, because it means what we're doing is literally disrupting an entire globe for real, right? Who like literally does not know what they know. I was lucky enough to come across a mentor who is running a multi-million-dollar company that was trying to give me the game, right? Still didn't listen, but for us to make this access like fingertip accessible, right, to Black women very early on, and tell them the same thing at scale that my mentor was trying to tell me. I get it now, but I think it's gonna be profound.
So I too am guilty of that. My first hire, whenever I got to a certain point where I realized I could not do everything, was a virtual assistant. And yes, that relieved me of some of the immediate like day-to-day operations and tasks, but she eventually left me because she said I didn't give her enough to do to make it worth her time to be with my company anymore, and that was very real. So I think what Casey just highlighted is that something that even I, as a business owner, like I did not know until honestly, like this conversation, like I didn't know that standard. I didn't know that this is the way that people who build sustainable businesses, like this is the way, versus basically what we kind of see on social media and what's just kind of like put forth before us. And it's disheartening, but sometimes we do have to learn those hard lessons. Grateful for mentorship. I'm coming back to that too. I'm realizing so very clearly the value of good mentorship, and not just somebody who's going to show you how to do something, not somebody who's just going to say, I'm going to show you how to make 30K in the next 30 days or whatever the promise is going to be. True mentorship that not only considers what your goals are, but who you are as an individual, what your strengths, what your skills are. Because if I had focused on that, and if I had invested on that more so than, you know, what I thought I wanted, which was the money, I might have gotten there a lot sooner with more ease. Which actually brings me to a question I want to ask you, Hannah, because I feel like I'm looking into a mirror. So Casey and I are the same age. Hannah, how old are you?
I'm 22, 23 in July.
Beautiful. So there's almost 10 years between us. And so I feel like I'm looking in a mirror. Like, what do you feel like right now when it comes to mentorship and entrepreneurship, mentorship and just your personal development? Like, what are some of the biggest needs for women your age right now?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wouldn't be here, be involved with Blaze, now being able to say being a co-founder with Blaze if it wasn't for mentorship and that of Casey. And really, I think everyone could benefit from a strong mentor that understands and values the personal development just as much as the professional development, because often they coincide. You can't have one without the other, especially for Black women where we feel our work so deeply. We do. It's driven by our passions, our interests, what makes us us and what keeps us going. And that's why we have it naturally, innately, that's seen throughout, you know, our childhood to now. And so really, I think one thing that's very important with mentors are individuals that really start from a humanistic level of just how are you doing mentally, you know, how are you doing, and being able to create that space for that mentee to share all, and really creating that space of validation in the sense of oftentimes, at least from my experience, I've seen and witnessed when having mentors, they've been through the same situations and might still be going through the same barriers and thoughts that keep them from saying or speaking up or holding back. And also being vulnerable about the fear that you were mentioning, Latoya. This right here, even just being a part of this podcast, was something that scared me. I was slacking or Slack messaging, I don't know what the technical term is, Casey, and I was like, are you sure? Like, like I think you and Latoya can go crazy with this, and I got y'all. I'm reposting it, and I'm just like, for real? Like, I don't know. And weirdly enough, not weirdly, I think it was God ordained, actually. I need to be specific with my words. Casey sent me a post that you made, Latoya, on Instagram about just, I think you took a test of like what was just going on and about you moving even in the sense of fear, and being just aware of how you're feeling and what that means and how that might move when it comes to, if you don't address it, how that might change your way of living. And when I tell you I was feeling the same way, I'm not saying everything right in the sense of, I remember, Casey, correct me if I'm wrong, but you were just saying fear can often make you feel as if you rather not even be
like
seen.
A fraud. Fear of being seen as a fraud. Mm-hmm.
Seen as a fraud, or if you had the choice of being heard, but you know, perhaps you might not always be 100% correct, but being heard, or just to not be seen at all. Fear can make you choose, I'm just not going to be seen at all, or even use my voice at all. And realizing that that's the boat that I was, you know, leading on or about to hop on, that was more scary than, you know, me approaching this. And so really mentorship has grounded me in every step, especially, I mean, since when I was young, but especially in this past year, it's really been foundational in taking the steps to become, you know, get a therapist and invest in myself, self-care, work hard when it comes to Blaze, and really be able to speak up and give ideas if I think we should be able to, you know, go one route or another, or help a certain demographic when it comes to Black women. So it means everything. But I think for Black women especially, coming from a humanistic level of genuinely being grounded and being affirmed that that person cares about you as an individual, as a human, above anything else that they are going to navigate you through. Business, relationships, controversy, etc. It's grounded in love for you as a human being over everything else. So I think that's my opinion.
Thank you, Hannah. I love that. I love that so much, because I love that you're here showing it in real time. Like, we often see just like the highlight reels and things of that nature. One of my favorite things to do is to go back on my favorite, online entrepreneurs who I see very publicly, go back to like their old YouTube videos and just see like where they started. Like, it's so humanizing, which is the word that you were describing in like what you value about mentorship. And I think that's to me, that's where I always want to make sure that I am human first. Like, I'm not this machine Casey talks about. It's like, we were groomed to be machines and we were damn good at it too, until we were like, you know what, it ain't gotta be all this. Right. So I really want Black women from all age ranges who are in business, wherever they are. I even want my daughter, my 4-year-old daughter, I want her to take witness to, like, this is, if it can't support us as individuals, as human beings, then it's not for me. Like, let that be your standard. I want that to be the only thing that she knows.
Yeah.
And like, we talk about legacy, a lot, and we're conditioned to just talk about money as if that's the only exchange, of frequency, of currency, right? But like, and I don't have kids, right? So I don't know what I'm talking about, y'all. Let me just put this out here. But I would today believe that when I think about legacy for my babies, is them having the emotional intelligence to articulate their feelings and say when they're hurting, and say when they're sad, and say when they're afraid, and to say when they feel abandoned, because I did not have that. Nor did my mother, nor did my grandmother, nor did my great grandmother. Literally were ill-equipped to even articulate the way that they felt. And so all we knew was, oh, she got that cancer. Oh, she got, back pains. Like, we just knew disease, right? And it wasn't until I started therapy that, like, when she kept asking me for 6 months until I finally relented, like, where do you feel it in your body, right? Because I thought she was like, what, girl, what are you talking about, right? But 6 months into it, I realized that, wow, like, the way I would hold my breath and feel tightness in my chest every single day of my life, every single second of the day, was not normal, right? And that was going to become something. The pains, the striking pains I would have in my head was not normal. And it was absolutely going to become something, because our muscles hold the memory of our experiences. Like, I did not know that stuff until I found my body again, And so, yes, now, probably once I have the baby, it's like, oh my goodness, I hope you put a roof over your head, girl. But today, I think about legacy, and passing things down, like generational wealth, as being like them being equipped to be able to articulate how they feel, to be present inside of their body, because I spent most of my life not being present inside of my own body. And like, that is more damaging in my mind, than the lack of wealth or the accumulation of it. Like,
I think it's interesting as well, though, and I know, Casey, you and I've talked about it a little bit, and I want to hear your thoughts, Latoya, but even as we go through this co-founder experience of building something that's in Blaze, and seeing how, our parents, father figures, mother figures, grandparents, slowly but surely also adapt and change in mentality when it comes to betting on us, betting on our this entrepreneurship drive, supporting us. And so I would love to hear your experience about, I don't know, share all, but and even the sense of therapy. That's just an example. I started like a month ago now, a month and a half, and my dad is now in therapy. And when I tell y'all, like, my dad,
that's so deep.
He's very to himself. Like, he don't have too many, close friends. Like, his brother is his best friend, like that. And I talk to him every day. Like, that's my dad. And of course, he talks to my mom. But When I tell y'all every week I get an update, like, this therapy thing for me. It's for me. Like, we need more people to get on it. Like, I'm telling you, these tools, the words, the technical terms that describe what I've been feeling and what I've been battling. I'm like, yeah, Dad. Yeah. But just to see his excitement, like, proud as a Black man in his 40s, I'm going to therapy, and hey, like, you need to get connected to my guy, another guy, I'll help you out. So even that lineage of I don't have kids either, so it hasn't been passed down yet, but even just going upward in the sense of that ancestral lineage of my dad and my mom and grandparents, potentially maybe one day, just to see how it's rooting upward is also kind of a cool thing. Also, while we're being in this space of startup, co-foundership, and really trying to drive that impact deeper within our communities, as well as within our own personal families and relationships. So, see, it's powerful.
Powerful indeed. And Hannah, to answer your question, I have been like stressing my parents probably since I came out the womb. I'm very Aquarian in that, like, I'm futuristic, I'm weird, I have a lot of curiosity, but I love it. I feel like if I'm confined to just what I know, it's just gross to me. It just feels gross. So when I started my entrepreneurial journey, it was in photography. So my background is in operations. I started my career with General Electric in their operations management leadership program. And we went through a ton of different competencies that we had to build up before we rolled off program. So even before I decided to leave South Carolina to go to New York, like, my mom wasn't really too thrilled about it. Yeah, she was like, why you want to leave, like, and go that far? So I've always been like going off the opposite direction of like where my parents wanted me to go, for better or for worse. And so as I'm coming on to Blaze as a co-founder, I'm leaving my role as a boudoir photographer and sex doula, which was, let me tell you, I've never really had a conversation with my parents about that work that I did. I do remember like sending them articles about stuff that I had done and where I'd been featured, and there wasn't really any conversation after that. So now as a co-founder, and I'm explaining what Blaze is, what we do, they're like, oh my gosh, she's finally doing something somewhat normal now. But no, they are very proud of me. They've always been proud of me. Maybe they have not known how to express it always, which I understand. I totally understand. I've accepted that and embraced that about myself. But they are proud and they're excited. My dad was like grilling me, asking me all these questions. So I'm so glad that we had our executive co-founder meeting before, so I could answer all those questions for him. But it's, to me, like, I absolutely love the fact that we are able to support our parents just by being ourselves. Like, I think that is so radical for them to watch, especially in real time. And even if they don't know how to like engage and interact based on like what we're doing and choosing how we choose to live our lives, I think just for them to be able to witness it is literally changing our lineage. Like Casey talked about, how our experiences are stored in our body. That reminds me of the book of The Body Keeps the Score. These are literally things that we pass down. You can imagine, how you are experiencing the world through your body, and then now you create something that is a part of you, and they carry that on, and then they carry that on through those generations. I didn't even conceive our second daughter until after I got laid off, from GE. Like, my body could not conceive a child under the stress that I was under. Like, that's how powerful it is. That's how important it is for us to realize, like, we have to take care of ourselves. Like, literally taking care of ourselves is taking care of future generations. And I know that's a lot to shoulder, but even if you are the last generation, like, that's still important for you to take care of yourself, because it's not just going to be fixed by, one thing. Like, there are different tools out there to help you manage these things, but there's no magic pill. Literally, there's no magic pill. So little by little, day by day is how I take it as a mom. My kids know that I'm not perfect. If I hurt your feelings, they have the agency to say, Mommy, I didn't like how you were talking to me. That hurt my feelings. And I honor that. I may not always agree, because sometimes I said what I said. Maybe my delivery needs to change a little bit. But again, like, I love how the opportunity to be a Black woman fully and wholly today is such a gift. And I'm grateful to do it with Blaze, to be a model of like how it could be, how it should be, how beautiful it can be. That's really what my excitement here is all about.
I think that's what makes Blaze unique. You hear consulting, you hear capital, you hear coaching all the time when it comes to firms that are supporting businesses. That community aspect is what's often left out. And so for that to be one of the highlighted, we call it 4 C's, but 4 C's in which we pursue the work that we do in order to target Black women entrepreneurs, it's just as valuable as the capital, as the coaching, as the consulting. We've often, I feel like, especially as Black women, have been trained to separate and silo our lives. So even for you, Latoya, being a mother, and now their mechanical engineering background, but then your creative side with photography, and separating and siloing them as this is the category, this is Latoya, and this is how she's showing up specifically as a mechanical engineer right now, when it's just not the reality for us. That intersectionality of who makes us, how we are formed, and how we show up in these spaces, it matters. And so that community aspect where you can, whether it's through the app, it's through the, hour work-alongs where, you listen to music, you're talking, you're working individually, or even just casual conversations, the summit, the semi-annual summits, etc. Just endless opportunities and events to just show up, be yourself, but also have a community of other Black women navigating their lives, their entrepreneurial drives, their passions, their struggles, and being able to relate and affirm that you're not alone. I think that's probably one of my favorite C's, my favorite aspects of Blaze, because it's the one that I feel like many businesses have not homed in on. Even if they have an aspect of it, it's more so on the back burner while the capital's front facing. And we're saying, no, it's just as important, it's equal, and it matters. So yeah, I think that's the beauty in Blaze and what we're building here.
We are the co-founders of Blaze Group, and we are going to be kicking it with many, many, many more conversations like this. And just in case you were confused, we are the most brilliant minds in the world, and we still down to earth. We still feel, we're still healing. We are still coming into ourselves. And so as you think about the work that we offer with the Fractional C-Suite services, just know that all of this is coming inside of your homes too, inside of your doors, right? Inside of the babies that you are building. And so rock with us, reach out to us, submit your inquiries. Toya is the guru in operations. Hannah is the brilliant mind in strategy. And I am cold as fuck in finance. And we would love, love, love to work with you. Check out blazegroupllc.com/fractional C-suite. That's blazegroupllc.com/fractional C-suite. We'll see y'all next time. Peace.